Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Sparky from Atomic Betty. For this pattern, you're going to need a couple of small white beads or bands for the eyes, a yellow bead or band for the belt. If you are using a bead here, you'll want to have on hand a black Sharpie marker. We need some red, some white, blue, light green, and dark green. And for the antenna, I'm using just like a twisty wire tie from a old packaging. Now these are very malleable, they bend well, they're not terribly sturdy though, so if you want to use a thicker wire or a safety pin or something else and adjust it with pliers, you can do that, or you can play around with beads or knotting to create his antenna. So I think we're ready to start. Our loom is going to be in the offset configuration. We're going to want on hand 1 or 2 hooks, a C-clip, and dental floss to thread on beads if you are using beads. So let's do our arms first. We're going to take 2 red bands and wrap them together on the end of the hook 1, 2, and 3 times. And we're going to take a single red, stretch it out, twist it, double it, and slide the wrapped red bands on top. And then this will go on to 8 doubled over whites. Now you can leave this on the same hook or put it onto a new hook, and we're going to make the second arm the same way. I'm just going to continue next to this. So 2 red bands wrapped 1, 2, 3 times, pulled onto a doubled over red. We're bringing this onto our 8 doubled over single white bands. Okay, and the last one coming up here. We're going to come to our looms for just a minute, and for the bottom of the shoe here, we're taking a single red and you're going to put it on the second peg from the bottom of the loom, twist it once onto the bottommost peg, twist it again, and bring it back over on top of the X that you've made. Take your hook and grab the bottommost band and pull it up and over, and go to that second peg up and bring the bottom one up and over. We're going to give this a little tug so it's a little bit tight, and then take it off of the loom, and this is going to go onto 1 doubled over red band. So place it at the end of the hook and pull your foot piece over, and this goes now onto 7 doubled over white bands. And then we'll do the same thing for the other leg. Now I just want to mention kind of an apology here. I've done what I could with the lighting today, but we're going through a very gray stretch where I'm living. It's been really rainy and glum out, so I'm hoping you can see all of this well enough. And And yeah, I'm gonna doing what I can for you here. So sorry if it's a little bit tricky to see it today. Make some adjustments on the editing as well. Here we go, 6 and 7. Push that down on the hook or put it on a different hook if you like. And for your other foot, red, twist it over into an X, twist it back over on top, and pull the bottom pieces over the top ones and towards the middle. This makes a nice little knot in the center. This way we get a kind of long piece at the end of the foot without it being too loopy. Bring this onto a doubled over red, and then onto 7 doubled over whites. Come put your hook down just for the time being, and we're going to come over to the loom here. Starting at the top, you're going to take 2 red bands and come from the top center peg to the second peg down in the center, and 2 from the second peg down in the center to the second side, and 2 bands from the second center peg to the opposite side, second peg down. You're going to take a single red on your hook and wrap it 1, 2, 3 times. Pull that onto 2 red bands. And this band that the wrapped one is on is going to stretch from the top side peg to the second side peg. And we're doing the same on the opposite side. So 1, 2, 3. Pull it onto 2. And stretch it down from the first to second pegs on the opposite side. And now on either side we're going to come down 3 times with double white, 4 times with double white bands from the second center peg. So the second to the third to the fourth, 4th peg to the 5th peg, and 5th peg to the 6th peg. The same on the opposite side here. I believe we're doing the same number in the middle, but I want to double check that for you first really quickly. Okay, so 2 white bands from the second to third center peg, and continue with sets of double bands until you reach, what will this be now? The 6th peg down on the center. We're going to take 2 white bands and put it on the end of your hook and bring your 2 leg pieces over. Stretch it across from the 6th peg on one side to the 6th peg down on the other. Get between the legs and pull that band right over the center 6th. Your arms can now be attached onto the second pegs down on either side. So I'm just going to transfer the bands from my hook directly onto those pegs. Something looks a little funny here. Here we go. Okay. So another look. We are going to make a belt to add, but I think we're going to loop up a little bit first and then we will. So we are going to loop up once on either side. Go under the piece that's holding the legs and pull your first 2 bands up. Middle, loop up once and go under the legs on the other side. Loop those bottom 2 bands forward 1 time. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do this with the bead first and then with the band. So if you have a yellow bead you'd like to use, it'll look really nice here. We put a piece of floss, a thin wire or needle and thread through it, and then through 2 blue bands I think this technique is one that I saw on Delicious Designs. I'll just mention that. The threading and what we're going to do with the bands here in a minute. Your floss or wire goes back through the bead from the opposite side, and we're going to pull till both beads are through. Now for this next part, you might want to have 2 hooks on hand. What we're going to do is separate so that we've got 1 loop out of either side, and we're going to try to match up the right loops. So we want to get the top 2 loops together on the hook, and then the bottom 2 are going to go together. And just for now, I'm just going to hold this here. And what we do is we take 2 red bands, put them on the end of the hook, and slide it through one side here. You can put the other end of the red on, and then we're going to do the same on the opposite side. So here I'm going to use another hook. If you don't have a hook, you can always put this onto your loom, like one side on the loom, and just do the other side separately. I'm going to run those reds through, and this stretches across from the 5th peg on one side to the 5th peg on the other, 5th peg down. We're going to put the red bands on. Okay, like so. So we don't have to worry about the center, it's not going to get hidden, and the side ones are already secured underneath. We need some holding bands, so we're going to use, oh no, I forgot something. I'm going to just make you an annotation later. It's going to make it easier than undoing this, because these bottom bands here should be doubled over singles, but I'll get that for you in a note. We do have to put on a couple holding bands though, so we're going to take a white and stretch it across all of your 4th pegs down, and repeat that over your 3rd pegs, and we should be good for the rest. And we're ready to loop. So go under into the 5th peg, reach through everything to grab the bottom 2 white and pull those forward. Loop up 2 more times. You're going to grab the bands, red bands, off the top side peg, pull them down onto the 2nd side peg. Go to the bottom, get your bottom 2 red, only the bottom 2, and bring those to the 2nd center peg. And actually I think we're going to loop up the middle first, so I'm just going to put this to the side for a minute. We're going to continue looping this up the center, starting at the 5th peg down, and just go forward until you reach the 2nd peg down, stop before the neck, and then we'll put that side piece on. Let's loop up the opposite side. Stop when you get to the 2nd peg down, because we're going to bring over that shoulder piece again. Let's pop it down and over the 2nd peg, and reach inside for your bottom 2 reds. You might have to pull those out to the side a little bit. Having a hard time here. Let's give this a little adjustment there. And there we go. And bring those in. And now we go into the 2nd peg down, find the bottom 2 reds, which also might need a little pulling out here. Sometimes they get a little bit like wrapped up in each other, they roll over each other, and then it gets hard to find. Just trying to separate it and pull them down a little so that I can get around the others. Hold on to the bands on the top center peg, and we can remove the rest of Sparky from the loom here. And what I'm doing here is I'm putting my hook through the bands on the top center peg, and I'm going to continue to ease this off using my fingers and the hook. You didn't see that, you didn't see that. Right, pop that back into place. So you can see it's a little bit looser here, that's why we have the doubled over, which I'll write in for you. Around the wrist, we're going to take single red, put it over, twist, put it over again. You can do 3 or 4 twists. Just kind of roll it to where you want it. So we've got a little bit of an extra loop going there. You can do the same for each of your other limbs. Just watch on the legs that it's far enough up that it's not going to slide over the narrow part at the top. So you want to make sure it's all the way onto the white section. Twist again, twist again. You can make it a little extra tight if you're concerned about it. And I'm going to do one more for the last leg here. So we just twist it over and twist it over again. Then you sort of roll it into place at the bottom of the white section. Now, at any point here or when you finish, you can draw on like little black marks here for the atomic symbol. And we're going to come back to the loom to make the face. So start with 2 reds, take them from the top center peg to the top side peg, and we're going to come to our hook again. Let me just transfer this to a different hook for the moment. Show you how to make the big blue pleat pieces at the top. If you feel these are too big for you, you can use fewer bands on each set or make it one shorter. So what we do for those, we take 4 blue bands, wrap them once and twice, pull it onto 4 blue bands. So like I said, if you wanted to use 3 instead of 4, you can do that. We're going to pull it now onto 3 blue bands. So 4 wrapped onto 4, onto 3, and then onto 2. And we want to make a total of 3 of these pieces. So 4 bands wrapped 1, 2 or 3 times, and pull it onto those 4 bands again. And pull that onto 3 bands. If you need to do this more slowly or do it on your loom, you can certainly do that. You would just do it backwards, so you would start with 2 and then lay down 3 and then lay down 4 and then cap it with 4 wrapped. So this is a little less awkward, I find, but you might find it easier to do on the loom yourself. Last one, 1, 2, 3. 2 wraps or 3 wraps onto 4. I might have wrapped it 1 time too many there. It's okay, it'll just make it a little bit tighter. But that's also going to make it harder to get onto the hook. There we go. Then onto 3 and onto 2. We're going to take 2 blue bands and pull all of this onto the 2 blue bands. You can put the other end onto your hook. Put these onto 2 red bands, and the red bands are going to stretch from the top center to the top of the side that you haven't used yet. And you can decide which side you want it to be on. I'm just going to put mine on the closer side here, but you might want it more towards the right side, and that's up to you. Okay, so we need 2 red bands to come down on each of our rows. And in the center, we're going to continue, or we'll go to the side next with light green, 2 sets coming down, starting at the 2nd peg down. And in the middle, we come down with 1, 2, 3 sets of double pale green bands. And on the opposite side, 2 sets of double green bands. Take 2 green bands and come from either side 4th peg to the center 5th. So we'll repeat that again on the opposite side. We're going to take a single green and stretch it across your 4th pegs down. Make a triangle, and 1 across the 2nd pegs down. For the eyes, you can take a white band, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times. I'm going to show you both ways. So this is with bands. A second one, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times and pull them both onto a green. keep a little space in between, and then you would attach it from your third peg. Oh, what is it? It's our second peg down. From the second peg to the second peg. Get your hook in between and bring one of those bands under the third peg down in the center. If you are using beads, you're going to do the same thing, but we're going to get it onto the band the way that I showed you for the belt. So I'm going to thread my floss through one and then the other through the green band, bring it back over and thread it through both beads together. So there it goes through one, through the other, and slide it till the green is in the middle, and this goes onto the second peg down. And just as with the bands, we would separate it and take one piece of the center loop here. It doesn't want to go. Bring that under the third peg down. For the nose, again, this is a very large nose, so if you're having a hard time with the bands or want it shorter, you can adjust the numbers. For myself, I did 3 green bands, dark green, wrap them 1, 2, 3 times onto the hook, pulled it onto 3 green bands, and then I put that onto 2 green bands. And this all goes onto then 1 pale green band. We're going to stretch it across from the third peg to the third peg. Just check something here. Okay, so we also have a side extension to add. For the left side, we're going to take a single white, wrap it once and twice onto the hook, and pull it onto 2 sets of double white bands. And then onto 1 set of double red bands. And the red bands will go onto the top side peg. You can decide which side you want the profile to be on. You put your hook through the bottom of that chain, the white furthest from the top, put that onto the 4th peg down, and grab a piece out of the 2 intermediate chains, like just a single piece of a band, to pull over the 2nd and the 3rd pegs down. I'm going to check here one more time, and I think we're ready to add our body and loop. So make sure your body is facing up with the bead on the yellow band on the upside. And we're going to bring that onto the 5th peg down in the center. And it's time for us to loop, and I'll just kind of give you an update here. Once we loop this up, we have a piece to add on the side. We've got our little jetpack to do and the antenna to do. So we're almost done. We're going to add an extension on the face too. Get under the neck. And if you need to pull it down further or onto a nearby peg, you can. Take your top 2 or next 2 green bands over to the right side. The next ones are going to go to the left side, the side closest to you. We're going in the reverse, or in the order you laid them down. And then we're going to loop up once. And I'm trying to remember if I looped this all straight forward, or I think I did do the center row last. Go on into the side, 4th peg down, get the bottom 2 green and loop them forward. Push back, bottom 2, loop it forward. Loop forward and get your bottom 2 from the top side peg, bring it to the top center peg. Loop up the other side, it's just a straight loop, watch out for your holding bands. Loop inwards, and then we're going to come back down to the 4th center peg and loop up. I'm going to go right over the nose here. Push back the band with the eyes and loop forward 2 more times. We're going to take a red band, 2 if you want extra security. Get it ready in your left hand, and with your right hand, bring your hook through the bands on your top center peg, through all of them. Put your securing band on and slide it up. As you come up, turn your hook so that the open part is pointed upwards. you can put the other side on and pull one piece over the other to create a slip knot. So hold on to that or pop it on a C-clip, and we're going to remove Sparky from the loom here. Okay, so you can put your securing band on a C-clip, or you can pop it over your blue piece and wrap that a couple times. That's fine too. Alright, we're going to go onto the side that had the side extension. Go under where your white bands start, or just below that. See, I think we went through a green. So I'm going to take, let me just get this fit and I'll turn it around for you. I'm going through the side, I'm going through 2 or 3 of the green bands on the side. We're going to take 2 white bands, put them on the hook, and slide it through. Try and do this so you can see it all. Okay, so I've slid 2 white bands right through the side of his face there. And I'm not going to put it on just yet, because now I'm going to go through the next 2 white bands on the side and then put the other side on. So I've sandwiched in white bands on the side of the face. We're going to take 2 red bands and slide it through all of those. Put it through kind of into the next set of loops here. So I've run it through 2 white bands on the side, or 3 white bands, and pulling that through. And then we're going to do 2 more white. This stitching just gives a little more dimension to the side here. Slide it through all of those. We're going to go through the red right at the top. Take 2 red. We're almost done this part here. Slide it through. Put it back into, back through the head one more time here. It's a little bit higher. So this is the side again. I've gone through reds right at the top, and now I'm going to take 1 red, put it on the end, slide it through. So bring it under all of those, put the other side on, one side under the other, and this can go onto a C-clip, or again you can hook it over over the sort of head spike thingies. I'm going to put the other end of the C-clip just under a nearby band. Okay, so let's add our blue backpack there. You can kind of play around with how you want that to look, but I'll show you what I've done here. 2 bands from the top side peg to the top center peg, twice down with double blue bands on the side, and again down the middle. Hold that for you just a second. Come down on the side one more time and connect from your second side peg to your second center peg with double bands, or a doubled over one if you want it to be tighter. I'm going to do a doubled over single and bring that across the second side peg and the second and third center pegs, and then just take a single band cap once and twice over the bottom side. Okay, let's loop up the side. So go under the cap, grab the bottom 2, bring them forward, and loop to the side, and then loop up the side row, and loop up the center row. And lastly, connect from the side peg, bring in the bands from the top side to the top center, put a band through, and we're going to close off that top center peg like we did before. Make your slip knot and remove from the loom. Okay, so we're almost done. We just need to connect this. I'm going to go through the back, pull my securing band through. You can put this on a C-clip, or you can use the same C-clip you have, or you can pop it over this backpacky part itself. Okay, so I'm going to put this onto a C-clip, but as I said, the option of what you do is up to you. And we don't want this flopping around everywhere, so we're going to line it up with the body, turn it to the back, put our hook through a body piece, and then through a backpack piece, a jetpack piece, and you want to pull your blue piece under your white piece or through it. You can put this on a C-clip, or you can kind of weave it up. So what I'll do is put it under a nearby band and pull the blue over, go under a nearby band, pull the blue over. You can just put it on a C-clip, that would be easier, but this way we have fewer C-clips. So I'm bringing it closer to the C-clip that I already have on. And you could also always pop that over the backpack again too. Alright, so that's almost everything. You can draw on your little black piece for like black pictures on the belt. And last thing, I'll just show you kind of quickly. As I said, you'll want to sort of play around with this, but what I did, I took my wire, I brought it around in a circle, and you might have to use pliers depending on the wire you're using. So I made a circle. I went under it as if I was making a knot, so back up and through. And then I made another one. So I looped it sort of around and then put my end under and up and through. And you do want to use something a little sturdier. This was just easy for me to move about. Go under a couple of bands in the back and bring it up and twist it around. You can make some adjustments and sort of play around with that. You can also trim your end if it's too long at the top. But there you have it. There is your Sparky from Atomic Betty. And I thank you for watching.